Boy, my hair has gotten so long. Ugh. Anybody else got quarantine hair? Hello, super friends, and welcome to another episode of Superhero Saturday. My name is Annie Pasquinelli, and today we're going to talk a little bit about being superheroic by being productive, specifically when you're working at home. I personally have been working from home for a long time. I have been pretty much full-time at my authorpreneurship job here in my home studio for a little bit more than a year, but I've been working from home to do a lot of my work for basically since I graduated college. So I could go ahead and say I'm pretty much an expert at working at home. Now, I haven't always been an expert because let me tell you something, it has taken me a long time to get to this level of productivity and ability to work at my best at any given time when I'm at home. It's taken a lot of practice and revision and trying some things and finding things that don't work and going all over the place just trying to figure out what works best for me to get to this point. So I thought while we're all still kind of stuck in quarantine and a lot of people are struggling to figure out how to work best from home during this time when they're usually not working from home, I thought I'd give you guys a few tips and tricks that can help trick your brain into being more productive at home so that you can be like super heroic when you all of a sudden just become super good at working from home. I don't know, I'm being super weird. Being weird is part of my process. I do have a couple of other videos that are kind of on this similar theme, including, staying at home during a crisis and motivating yourself and a couple of other things. So make sure you guys check those out and then follow the rest of this list and you'll be well on your way to being super productive. Tip number 1. Get dressed, and I mean all the way dressed. Something about putting on your actual work clothes tricks your brain into getting into that mode of working rather than into the mode of relaxing or into the mode of going to sleep or into the mode of I really don't care what people think of me when they see what kind of clothes that I'm wearing. So to give yourself a real kickstart into being productive is just to put on your regular clothes for the day. Take a shower, dry your hair, do your makeup, I don't know. Your non-pajamas, non-comfy clothes. And in particular, do put on the shoes. I know I myself am wearing unicorn fuzzy slippers right now, but that's really just to keep my feet warm, and I wear fuzzy slippers all the time. Most of the time when I'm actually working, I wear something like this. I have my collection of high heels because I really like high heels. They make me feel confident and powerful, but it also kind of helps me stay at my desk when I'm working because they're really uncomfortable and hard to walk in unless you're just, sitting at your computer writing. So while I don't necessarily recommend always wearing high heels or slippers as your work shoes at home, something even just tennis shoes could be really helpful to get your productivity lighten up. Tip number 2. Clean your house or your space or whatever thing that you're working in. It's really actually pretty weird because people are like, either I have enough time to stay at home and clean and keep my house all tidy because I don't have to travel back and forth to work. Instead of using my commute time, I can use that as cleaning time. But then on the other hand, they're also like, I'll get to that later. I have a lot of time that I could clean up, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave my dishes everywhere and let my dirty clothes pile up and just generally be kind of messy. Put both of those away. Just continually maintain and clean your space. It doesn't take very much time to keep your workspace tidy and organized, and it really does wonders for productivity. A clean house means a clean brain, and you don't have to procrastinate by doing that. That can really help your brain just focus up and get right to work. On a similar note, we can also use this as tip number 3, which is minimize distractions. This is a really tough one because there are so many distractions and a lot of things can pop up, especially when you're working from home, that are just unexpected distractions and you don't always know how to deal with them. Whether that's a pet, whether that's kids or housemates or family or friends or communications or social media or just you're hungry and you want to go get a snack. All sorts of things can create distractions and stop your productivity in its steps. Get rid of those. And if you can, figure out a way to prevent distractions from coming up. That works even better. Again, kind of along those lines is tip number 4, which is separate your space. This is all kind of starting to go together, but the idea is that you want to create your own little work bubble at home. It's really tempting to just set up your Zoom meeting from your laptop and sit in your bed and maybe have, your nice work clothes on top and then your PJs on the bottom. But the fact of the matter is, you're still sitting in bed. Your brain knows that space means it's relax time. And so you're not going to be able to give your normal 100% effort if you're sitting in a place where normally you give like 10%. So if you can find somewhere in your space to create a little tiny work zone, whether that's in a corner or at your desk, use that for work and then don't use it for anything else. Keep your eating time away in your eating place, and keep your play time away in your play place, and keep your rest time away in your rest place. Then when you physically go to the workplace and sit down and get to work, your brain is already ready to go. And if you've minimized distractions around you in your workspace, for example, pointing your desk into a corner or out a window or something where you can't see what's going on behind you, then you're already well on your way to being productive because the distractions are gone, your focus is in, your space is in, you're doing good. The other thing that sometimes happens for people who start working at home when they haven't been usually is that their schedules are all crazy. Sometimes people are able to even create their own schedules when they're working at home, and they have all of this freedom to do whatever they want, but they still have to get the same work done, and it gets kind of like lost. When am I doing what? I don't know. I have so many choices. How do I pick one? So my recommendation is for you to create a time schedule for yourself. This does take a little bit of finagling if you have the option to make your own time schedule. Some people work better early in the morning, and some people work better a little bit later. I personally tend to wake up around 7:30 or 8, do my Bible study and prayer time, get breakfast, chill out, check in with my folks, and then get to work at 10. And then I take lunch around 1 o'clock, and then I come back to work at 2, and then I usually get off at about 7 at night. And that's what works for me. Other people don't quite have that option and have to work from a certain time to a certain time. Either way, find your schedule, put it down, and then share that schedule with the people who are in your house, your quarantine, if you will. My mom came up with that one. That way, when the other people in your household know that you are using this time to work, they can avoid distracting you. You are already scheduled to be working from this time to this time, so they'll be less inclined to distract you. Another important thing in this time mode is to remember to take care of yourself. And there's a lot of tips and tricks out there on other people's channels and on my channel that talk about maintaining your mental and physical and spiritual and emotional health. Just keeping yourself feeling good as best you can during this time will help your productivity. Because when you're feeling good, you're able to work. Or more like when you're feeling bad, you really feel like you can't work. So make sure you move your body, make sure you check in with people you love, make sure you take time to read your Bible and pray, make sure you take a certain amount of time, a good amount of time and not too much time, to play and relax. And then remember that it's time to get to work when it's time to get to work. Eating good foods is also helpful, and minimizing sugar and junk food, but when the grocery stores are closed, you eat what you gotta eat. And then when you get to your workplace, you'll already be in that pretty high level, and so doing some good work will actually even make you feel better than better. Then when you go to your space to relax, you can feel like, yeah, I did good today. It just builds on itself and you continue to feel productive. Was that tip number 5? I lost count. Editing Annie can fix it later. So tip number 6, I believe, is kind of an interesting tip. It's kind of more of a trick. The thing that has worked really well for me in the past is to actually tell your brain that work is procrastinating. And it sounds weird, but hear me out. I sit down at my desk to get started, and the first thing I want to do is pull up YouTube and check on stats and see how things are doing. But then YouTube is there, and there are lots of really good suggestions for videos. So what I tend to do is I find a video that I want to watch, and I pull it up and I put it on a window, and I slide it to the corner of the screen. And I pause it at like 2 seconds or something and say, I'm going to do this first and then I'll get back to that. And then for whatever reason, just telling my brain that work is procrastinating makes it so much easier to work. It's basically a reward system that doesn't have to do with sweets. If you can figure out what kind of reward that really works for you, that motivates you to be able to procrastinate by doing your real work and then get to your reward later, then congratulations, you just Pavloved yourself. Strange, but productive. And tip number 7, make sure you don't corner yourself into a routine. Think of this as an experiment on yourself. Evaluate how you're doing at your workstation on any given day. When have you seemed to be the most productive during the day, and when the least? And why is that? Go ahead and study your own patterns and use that to figure out whether there are ways that you can improve or things that you're trying to do that you thought would work to help you, but really just are not. And then don't be afraid to change it up. If you thought that exercising before you sat down to work was a good thing and it turns out that you just get too tired to really do anything, then exercise afterward or during a break. Maybe your eyes get tired from staring at the screen so long and you have to work in little breaks and lots of extra water to keep you on track. Be creative and study your habits and patterns and see if there's anything you can do to improve them. The really cool thing about learning to be productive at home is that you really get so much more stuff done, and it's so great for your mental health because you can actually choose to take some time off and really rest because you've gotten stuff done. You were already a superhero today. So you deserve this time to rest and relax and watch Minecraft videos in your pajamas. And if you can keep that system going and keep being productive, then you can pretty much take over the world. Think of this time learning to work at home as an opportunity and take advantage of it, because this only happens, once every 100 years, hopefully? And we hope it'll be gone before we know it. Do you have any other tips and tricks for working from home? If you do, go ahead and put them in the comments below and give us a big thumbs up if you liked this video. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more episodes every week about superheroes, storytelling, and so much more, which is the more that this video was about. And you can go over to Patreon and support us so we can continue to make great content for you every week. And if you go and check out our website at www.fearless9.com, you can check out all of my books and all of my latest content and find some cool things for you to do on your off time. Thanks so much for watching, Super Friends, and we'll see you next week.